Welcome back, y'all. Today in the Winter Inner Alchemy series, we will be doing an expansion session with the intention to assist you in creating and honoring and maintaining and adapting boundaries with yourself. Before we can ever really have our boundaries be respected and honored with others, it's really important to ensure that we are respecting our own boundaries with ourselves. If not, we're gonna find a pattern of people just shitting on what we say and what limits we put out there because we do that to ourselves. And this is said from a place of like energy attracts like energy, and the law of attraction, which I'm not fully in agreement with all of the law of attraction, but that part, yes, totally. And so if you're not loving yourself, if you're not accepting yourself, if you're not truly respecting yourself, then others are going to be unable to honor your boundaries energetically because your energy is telling them otherwise. And then there's this contradiction in your energy field. And so it's really, really important. And when you begin implementing boundaries with yourself, getting real and raw and dirty with yourself and writing down what your values are and understanding what your values are. And then in writing down those values, looking at are these really my values, or were these ingrained in me from a young age? Were these passed on to me? And it's okay if you X out some of them because they're not yours. Though this might be a little triggering for the mind, right? Because some of these values have to do with parts work, right? And parts work is the parts of the psyche that make up the whole, that is you here now emoting in day-to-day life, living and being in day-to-day life. And so this is where it's good to pay attention to the triggers as they come up, and then take that to the meditation mat, so to say, and start working out and exercising with yourself by going deep within yourself and looking at your relationship with your inner child. Some of y'all might be new to the term inner child, some of y'all might be very seasoned to it. If you are new to it, I definitely suggest getting yourself on Google and looking into inner child healing, inner child work, and just really understanding how the inner child shows up in your life. And with the inner child, this translates over and carries over into honoring and understanding and implementing boundaries with yourself, in the sense of for example, if some of y'all struggle with eating, which I feel that can be a struggle across the board now in this day and age with different work schedules and cycles and fluorescent lighting and offset circadian rhythms and all kinds of stuff. So if you struggle with eating, for example, maybe it's really your inner child showing up, and the inner child is well, I want this burger right here, right now. I want these fries right here, right now. And then they eat it, and then you feel bad later, and you don't really understand why you feel bad later, because you did what you thought was the right thing, and really it was this inner part, the inner child, that was running the show. And then maybe you had parents when you were younger that didn't really care about what you ate, so then you have the inner parent not really disciplining the inner child, because that's another part of the psyche that needs attention. And so then there's this whole inner reconstruction that needs to occur through conversating with yourself and exploring yourself. And so going into parts work through the opening and opportunity of the inner child and inner parent can be really, really helpful in bringing you to this point of setting healthy boundaries with yourself through learning yourself, learning your shadows, learning where you perhaps were modeled inconsistent boundaries and how you've been that way with yourself here and now as a grown-up, right? And so in this session, we will be working with tuning forks and sound bowls and possibly aromatherapy or sprays. It's a little different every time. I just kind of allow my intuition to guide me on that one. And we will be working to dive deep into the psyche with sound and sound healing, and then expand. So and when we expand, the way we expand is we dive deep through sound, through discussing and labeling sensations in the body, which the mind has a hard time processing and moving things out if it doesn't have a label to understand. Kind of like filing cabinets. There's places that certain files go, and then you put them there because you know the label and the placement. The mind is the same way with like body sensations and like somatic work, which this is also a bit of somatic work. So we'll just be labeling and being present with our bodies, what's coming up. So you might hear me say, go ahead and take a discharge breath. And in that case, you'll breathe in through your nose. Hold for a few seconds, allowing the energy to accumulate, and then exhale out through your feet, out through your mouth, through your tailbone, just releasing any heavy energies that are coming up, right? So you might hear me say the word discharge throughout, and that's just to help you move through sticky energies, sticky spots that might be coming up. In the world of energy, it's you have to heal, you have to feel to heal. So we might come into some sticky areas where you feel your body tensing, or you might get weepy, or you might just feel like growling or something. And that's totally normal. You might feel like wiggling because that's the body's way of like, kind of like an animal after surviving an attack. It like shakes it off, right? So we might have to shake something off as we're in the expansion. All of that is normal. You might find that you fall asleep, and that's fine too. Sometimes the body will just put you to sleep so the body can receive the energies that are being retrieved. Which, when we're on the outer part of the field, we are working with tuning forks, and the tuning forks are acting like magnets, and they're attracting your energy where maybe it's gotten like entangled in sticky points in life. It's untangling them and attracting them back to the fork with its coherent sounds, and then bringing it back into the body, into the energy system that will, into the correlating energy center that we will be working with. And then through that, the organizing intelligence of your body redistributes the energy. So in that sense, we dive deep by going into the emotional states, the inner realms, depth, and then we expand through bringing back that energy and expanding into more of our full potential, our full glory, our full range of petals and blossoms, kind of like flowers, right? And so also with every expansion, we will always start with a spring clean, and a spring clean is a mental clearing technique that I learned at the School of Womanly Arts, and it's been very helpful for me in self-actualizing, and I find that in the expansions it really, really helps people as well. So when you spring clean, you're basically as concisely as possible just saying what you have on a topic that you have agreed upon to spring clean with. So in this case, we're going to be spring cleaning on boundaries with self. And so if it's like, thank you, what do you have on boundaries with self? It would be like, I have a hard time honoring my boundaries. Thank you, what do you have on boundaries with self? I don't even know what boundaries with self means. Thank you, what do you have on boundaries with self? My parents didn't really have boundaries with themselves. And you'll just keep saying that till the timer goes off, signaling that the spring clean has reached its end. And then you will have one pull, or if you're spring cleaning with someone else, you can have more than one pull, but for the sake of this session today, we'll do one pull. And you'll have one pull to get your final thing out. So if you're watching live today, you can set the intention to have the person who will be volunteering today have their answers surrogate for you, or you can try to keep up with the pace and flow and include your own answers in it. If you're watching the recording when this is released at a later point in time, for this is a winter series, it'll be released officially in January, I believe. You can pause the video and insert your answers, and then unpause, or you can watch the video, rewind a few minutes so you can hear the clean and have things in your awareness, and then press play and include your stuff in the clean. Whichever one works best, just kind of explore it. So we'll start with the spring clean, and then our volunteer will also lay on the table after the spring clean so that their body can serve as surrogate for the collective. And you will see them primarily for the session as I work on the outermost side of the energy field with the tuning forks. So you will hear the forks, however you probably won't see me because the camera doesn't capture the entirety of the room. And then you will see them lying on the table, and then you'll hear me say discharge, or I'm feeling in my body, or I have this memory of, and it's just me sharing information to bring into your awareness what is coming up in this expansion. And then you can take what resonates and leave the rest, or as I'm feeling into my body, I invite you to feel into your body and see what you're feeling, because this helps your mind label things and process things, and that's really, really helpful when it goes into deep dive shadow work like this, and integrating it and then being able to truly expand, right? So with that said, we will go ahead and get started. We're going to start with the spring clean, and then we will go from the spring clean to the table, and I'll just continue to kind of guide you as I'm in my flow. so that way you know what is going on. As we start, please start sitting as if you're sitting face to face with me, receiving a spring clean. And then when our volunteer lays on the table, that is your cue to go ahead and lay down and get comfortable and like close your eyes and receive. So yeah, that's what I got. All right. So we're gonna set a timer. It's set for 2 minutes. All right. Brother God Christopher, are you ready to begin your spring clean on boundaries with yourself for 2 minutes and 1 pull?
Yes.
Thank you. What do you have on boundaries with yourself? We started the timer.
I am learning to develop boundaries with myself.
Thank you. What do you have on boundaries with yourself?
In the past, I have not had the healthiest boundaries with myself.
Thank you. What do you have on boundaries with yourself?
The boundaries that I've lacked with myself have caused me to lack boundaries with other people.
Thank you. What do you have on boundaries with yourself?
I have frustration.
Thank you. What do you have on boundaries with yourself?
I have social anxiety.
Thank you. What do you have on boundaries with yourself?
I am becoming more aware of the importance of boundaries.
Thank you. What do you have on boundaries with yourself?
I have a want to understand my boundaries more.
Thank you. What do you have on boundaries with yourself?
I feel like I have unmet needs because of lack of boundaries.
Thank you. What do you have on boundaries with yourself?
Resentment.
Thank you. What do you have on boundaries with yourself?
Difficulty saying no.
Thank you. What do you have on boundaries with yourself?
I tend to put other people's feelings a lot of times before my own.
Thank you. What do you have on boundaries with yourself?
I have irritation.
Thank you. What do you have on boundaries with yourself?
I have nothing.
Thank you. What do you have on boundaries with yourself?
I have the knowing that boundaries are important.
Thank you. What do you have on boundaries with yourself?
I have difficulty setting boundaries with myself.
Thank you. What do you have on boundaries with yourself?
They teach me to understand myself more.
Thank you. So the timer went off, so now we're going to go into his first and final pull to close this ring theme. Thank you. This is your first and final pull. What do you have on boundaries with yourself?
I'm very judgmental.
Thank you. This concludes your spring clean on boundaries with yourself. It has been an honor and a pleasure holding space for you. Would you like to close with the Trinity?
Yes.
So we always close with the Trinity because when you go into a spring clean, you're going into some of the nitty-gritties and like unspeakables. And so while it's really important to actualize, it's also important to pull back into the present and bring in that pleasure and that play and that shine again, so you don't get caught up in the currents of the spring clean. So a Trinity is a brag, which is something you're celebrating, a gratitude, which is something you're grateful for, and a desire, which is something that you would like to manifest, either related to the topic that you spring cleaned on or a desire in general. There is no desire that's like too small or too big, so it's just really good to speak your desires to another person because in physics it helps them manifest through being witnessed. And if you don't have a person, then you can definitely speak it out loud and the higher power is always witnessing you. So we will go into the Trinity. What do you brag?
I brag that I have the willingness to develop a better understanding of boundaries with myself.
Well done.
Thank you.
What is your gratitude?
I am grateful for the time that I have taken after I finish work to healthily relax at the beach at night.
Beautiful gratitude. And what do you desire?
I desire to continue to develop an understanding of my boundaries through healthy meditation and realization practices.
And so it shall be, or something even better and wetter than your wildest dreams. Alrighty. So he is going to get himself situated on the table, and then as he does that, I am going to go ahead and go over to the sound bowls to open the session with sound, and then I will spray him gently with a light spray that we will be working with today, which is made up of black salt, clary sage, and shungite, which shungite is a really great protective stone. And then this is to bring in protection, grounding energy, and healthy boundaries, which would be so great for our energy fields. And this will kind of act like a makeup primer in the sense of it's going to prime the energy field, just like the sound balls are going to prime it, so that we can then go into the tuning forks and Reiki portion of this session. Are you comfortable?
Mm-hmm.
And the sound bowls that we are working with today, let me adjust that camera for y'all. The sound bowls that, we are working with today are the, there we go, are the root chakra, sacral chakra, solar plexus, and heart chakra. And before we use the spray that we're working with, we're also going to use a few crystals. So we're going to do selenite around the solar plexus, because our boundaries really have to do with our center of power and our self-confidence and our inner child, inner adolescent. And so the selenite is very cleansing and protective and healing and stabilizing. So we're going to put it on the solar plexus. And then we're also going to work with blue kyanite on the throat chakra. Blue kyanite is a wonderful throat chakra stone, which with our boundaries, we usually speak them, whether we speak them in our mind or speak them out loud. It has to do with the throat chakra. So if we're feeling disempowered and kind of crumpled by life, or having a hard time digesting life, then we might not necessarily be able to speak our boundaries very clearly or confidently. And so these crystals will help with that. And then we're also going to work with Botswana agate, which has to do with dispelling heavy energies. And we're going to work with that on the root chakra. Actually, here we're going to work with it on the half step, which is a chakra in between the sacral chakra and the root chakra, to move through feelings of like guilt and shame. Because a lot of us, when we're working with boundaries with others, we have a lot of guilt and shame that come up. However, even within ourselves, sometimes we feel guilty or griefy that like we didn't have these boundaries before because they weren't necessarily modeled for us, these boundaries with self. So we're going to put it right there. Good. And then we're going to use the spray. Ready? And if you haven't already, now is a good time to go ahead and lay and get yourself comfortable. We're also going to work a little bit with a flower essence spray. Flower essences are fabulous for so many things. If you haven't heard of them, I highly recommend researching them. Ready? And flower essences are not the same as essential oils. They are unscented. They are a vibrational form of healing that has to do with working with the energy and life force of the plant, not the physical properties of the plant. And then we're also going to do a little bit of aromatherapy today with cedarwood to bring in some grounding at the start. And then we'll do Reiki around the head to calm and center the mind. Okay, 2, 3 deep breaths. Breathe in for a count of 7. Hold for 2. And then exhale for 7. Hold for 2. And you're going to do that 3 times. In for 7. And as he inhales the cedarwood, it's as if you are inhaling and receiving the healing properties of cedarwood. For plants don't only have physical healing properties, they also have non-physical, metaphysical properties. Cedarwood is highly grounding, highly soothing, very protective, and just a very stabilizing energy overall, which is really helpful to infuse into our energy fields in this day and age where things are so chaotic and hustle and bustle and can be very destabilizing to our energy systems and mental health and physical wellness. Okay. And then we will be working with the energy of the dragons today. So we will be working with the fire dragons, which fire has to do with purification. So they're going to help us in purifying and cleansing and transmuting and alchemizing any heavy energies related to the intentions of the session, which is honoring our boundaries with ourselves, holding space for ourselves to even set up boundaries in the first place, implementing boundaries with self, meaning they're going to help dissolve and transmute self-created thought forms that get in the way of us having healthy eating patterns, healthy sleep patterns, saying no, or like saying yes when we mean no, maybe hanging on to friends that really aren't good for us, and knowing we need to let them go, and like having that boundary of like, this person doesn't align with my values and my core beliefs, so it's time to let it go because they're disrespectful to me all the time. It's one thing to have like a friend where like you guys have different like core values and beliefs, but there's respect between you two as you disagree. It's a whole other thing if there's no respect. And so yeah, the fire dragons will be helping it, burning off, transmuting, purifying. The dragons in general are excellent at ensuring that we get in alignment with our true, authentic selves. So this is the other reason the fire dragons are coming, to rekindle that inner light, to reconnect you with the light and beauty of your soul, really. For our soul has so much love for us, and it's really easy when we don't have self-trust and like self-assuredness to like discredit ourselves, not hear our soul, and then therefore not implement boundaries with ourselves, and then therefore have this confusion sometimes where others don't honor our boundaries because we're not really hearing ourselves, or we don't even see our own inner light, and so on and so forth. We'll also be working with the earth dragons. They are to assist in grounding and transmuting any heavy energies that are released. All heavy energies go down to Mother Earth and are transmuted by the earth dragons into energy of the highest love and highest light to support Mother Earth, thanking her for supporting us. And before we even do the Reiki, we're going to work with the sacral chakra tuning fork. It's a weighted fork, so you will not hear it. I will just gently be placing it on certain body points. starting with the sacral. Made him jump. Go ahead and do a deep breath in, discharging heavily from your mouth out through your feet. Good. Discharge again. And chances are, if you hear me during a discharge breath, you probably would benefit from one as well. Also going to place this fork on the hip chakra of each side. Our hips are kind of like our throne. They're like a seat. If we don't have strong boundaries with ourselves, people are going to read that in our energy field. They're going to read how we sit, how we stand, how we walk. And then they're going to run rampant in our energy field, disrespecting us because they think it's okay to do so. And this can happen if we go around disrespecting ourselves, eating at 2 a.m. when we know better, and then having someone maybe disrespect us on a lunch date by not showing up. These things show up in like different ways. Discharge. We're also going to bring this fork to the kidney points of the feet. Kidneys have a lot to do with joy, but they also have a lot to do with fear and what we're circulating based on fear. And so bringing in these frequencies to the kidneys to help bring in more coherence and harmony and joy related to honoring ourselves and knowing ourselves as we erect these boundaries. Bringing in coherence so that way we don't have as much fear about having boundaries for ourselves. Maybe boundaries for ourselves means I'm not going to go to happy hour 5 days a week. I'm only going to go twice a week. And then there's like this fear of, oh, if I don't go 5 days a week, my friends aren't going to hang out with me anymore. Or that makes me unlovable. And so then honoring our boundaries, still going twice a week, and loving ourselves and filling that time that we're not going for happy hour with like self-love practices or something soothing and regulating for the nervous system. And then it just gets easier over time to honor these boundaries. Good. We're also going to work with the root chakra weighted tuning fork. I am going to hover over the root chakra with the intention that it is being placed on the root chakra. And then I will also use this on the hips as well as the knees probably. Go ahead and do a discharge. Discharge breath, please. Good. Again. A lot of where we learn about boundaries has to do with our root chakra and childhood and our immediate attachments. Attachments meaning like the people we established either anxious attachments with, avoidant attachments with, disorganized attachments, secure attachments. Discharge. If we had people that were supposed to be our caretakers and our safety modeling no boundaries or inconsistent boundaries, then this might show up in us having no boundaries with ourselves or being inconsistent with the boundaries that we set for ourselves. And this would be a root chakra pattern. So we're depatterning that with these forks as we speak about them. And anytime you think about stuff as well, you're depatterning it simply by illuminating through the power of contemplation and introspection. discharge breath. And then I'm also going to work with the sonic slider tuning fork. This tuning fork has Schumann resonance frequencies in it. It's very, very soothing for the body. I find that most of my clients, this is the fork that all of their bodies are like craving. And it's just because we're also plugged into unnatural things like routers, computer screens, phone screens. A lot of us have started spending too much time scrolling on social media, and then we have to have these boundaries about not being on social media too much or how much screen time we have. And in working with this fork, it makes it easier for people to kind of put down the phone, the screens, the worries, the scheduling, and just kind of receive the nurturing energies of Mother Earth through the Schumann resonance, which has to do with like her frequency specifically. Go ahead and discharge. You can tell this feels really, really good on the arms. Feel like a wave of grief just kind of sliding off as we do this. Which makes sense. The arms have the heart meridian, which holds on to grief. So just letting that go, and allowing these energies to support us. Good. Now doing this on the legs. And as I do this on his legs, it's like you're having this done to your legs. This is made possible through physics and scientific terms that I don't know how to explain, but I understand the concepts. And it's pretty cool. Our legs have to do with how we carry ourselves through life. So some of y'all might have like a freeze or fawn in how you handle people. And so this might get in the way of you even being able to like set boundaries with yourself. You might freeze and be like, uh-oh, this isn't safe. I'm not supposed to have boundaries. And for some people, not everybody, these sessions can bring up some really big feelings in the 24 to 48 hours after the session. If that happens, just really practice deep self-care. Do some inner child meditations, go for some walks outside to help deactivate the amygdala, take baths, use shower scrubs, maybe go to a sound bath experience. Whatever will help you feel cared for by you, go ahead and show up for yourself in that way. Good. Go ahead and do a discharge breath, please. And just kind of massaging the third eye, helping remove any worries that have kind of clouded the inner vision. Helping move out energies that maybe have kept us from seeing what's true for us or have kept us from taking action from a place aligned with our inner vision and like our soul's vision statement and our values and soul's purpose. Good. Feeling lots of grief and sadness right now. Alright, let us go ahead and then work with the Reiki. Please discharge. hands are working with the crown chakra and the ears and the eyes and the senses, really helping the senses clean themselves out and recalibrate. And I like to work with the senses in my sessions because we really do need not just our psychic abilities, but we need our physical common sense senses to help us with some of these intentions that we set. And so I like to focus on supporting the eyes and the ears by cleaning out some of the stuff that clouds our vision, that clouds our ears, because it's really hard to set boundaries for ourselves in this case if we can't hear our inner voice and what's true for us, if we can't see from a lens of like our soul's perception, right? So this will be very supportive for you in that way. Some of y'all might fall asleep. Our volunteer is in and out right now. There's like a sense of discomfort in the intestines, which intestines have to do with like our sorting things out, decision making abilities. In the past, maybe we thought we made the right decision by saying no, and then someone didn't listen to our no, and then it created confusion and dysfunction in the body. And now, like sitting here, bringing comfort to the body, helping reassure the body, and its ability to make decision making, where our body is very wise. Or the intestines and sorting out what is the best boundary to implement with myself based off of what I'm seeing around me with other people that are crossing boundaries that I didn't even know I had, that caught my awareness when they were crossed. Just kind of pondering these questions as the body talks through these sensations. Go ahead and do a deep breath in for a count of 7 in through the nose. Hold for 2. Exhale through the nose for 8. Hold for 2. And then return to normal breathing. There's like a sense of frustration as I'm working with the ears. I'm feeling like the words fall on deaf ears, like what you say, the boundaries you say fall on deaf ears. And then there's also the sensation of turning deaf ears towards the inner voice and therefore crossing our own boundaries. There's a little bit of overlap in this. This could be for the same person. This could be for multiple persons in the collective. For anybody who's interested in mirroring, this definitely goes with mirroring. I'm going to put that fork, the Schumann resonance one, on the ears. Go ahead and discharge, please. hearing a question from the collective about why I keep speaking, and part of it is to keep you awake, to keep you engaged, to have my voice in your awareness on these things, because this is a type of shadow work through the energy work that we are doing, and shadow work requires engagement. And so ensuring this is a bit of conversation and not a slumber party. Sometimes people do fall asleep, and that's totally fine, because the body needs the mind to sleep at that point to receive, and the body is still listening on a cellular level. But I will talk off and on throughout the sessions to keep you engaged, to keep you in collaboration with your soul, with your higher power, and with Gypsy Sky Synergy as we all expand together. Now I'm going to be working above the eyes. So some of y'all might have like eye twitches. Maybe you might clench your jaw. Maybe another body part might twitch. The eyes are connected to the liver, I think. So maybe you're going to feel like bloating around your liver, which is, I believe, on the right side of the torso, kind of under the pecs. You also have the kidneys, which I believe the eyes are also connected with that. And some school of that, which kidneys are like the lower back region. And maybe this will help you see yourself in a new light, be easier on yourself as you learn to meet your needs and tend to your inner child. Alright, now we're going to work in the outer part of the field. First, I will work with the soul star, which is a chakra about 9 inches above the crown. Some people call this the sun star, some soul star. I forget what the other one is, but there's many names for this one. And this to me is like your relationship with like your soul's purpose. I feel like this also is kind of Akashic in a sense, because you can access like Akashic records from here. It's also like your relationship with your higher power. So in bringing coherence to this area, it's really helpful in a myriad of ways. In like those larger ways, as well as the sound frequency is helpful to the physical vessel, and this like pours over the entire energy body, because our fields are like I think it's toroidal shape. I don't know if I said that right, but when we're working up here, it's like it rains down, and then when we're working on the earth star, it's like it goes up. Good. For some of y'all, maybe you have older phones and the quality is not the greatest, or maybe it's a weighted fork and you can't hear it. Even if your physical ears can't hear it, your energy body is still listening and engaging, for we're all connected through time and space, through ether, and what is known as like plasma and the electric universe theory. So don't worry if you can't hear things, you're still receiving. Go ahead and discharge. I just felt like a wave of anger and wanting to like hit someone. And then embarrassment. maybe being upset that we got angry because we're taught anger is not good. However, in my perspective, all emotions are part of what we were given in the human experience, so they're neither good nor bad. If we get angry, we shouldn't go like punch someone in the face. We should find a creative and constructive outlet to move that anger into. However, the emotion in and of itself really is not bad or harmful. Some really great things have happened through people utilizing and channeling their anger in healthy ways. Now we're going to work on the Earth Star, which is about 9 inches below. And this has to do with like our relationship with Earth here in this hologram, in this universe, this incarnation that we are part of. Interesting. Feels very sticky. Go ahead and discharge. And as I'm in this point, I want you to visualize like a clay colored ball spinning 9 inches below your feet. And then I want you to envision as it spins, there's like this kind of like beautiful earthy oranges hue of light beginning to beam from within that clay colored ball. And as it beams, the clay starts to fall off and is absorbed back into earth. And continue imagining it beaming with those colors, or maybe the color gold, using your free will to assist in stabilizing your earth chakra as we work with this earth chakra fork. Good. As you do that, I can feel it opening and my right leg feels a lot less congested. Good, good, good. So stay with that visualization just for a little bit. As it opens and the clay particles fall off, just think of it as like your heavy, dense energies, like just falling off, kind of like when you like shake off the mud from your boots or something. You're just shaking off all those old things that don't serve you and giving them to the earth dragons and Mother Earth so that healthy earth energies can circulate, so you can have a more grounded and present and playful earth experience. Which the more grounded you are, the easier it is to honor the boundaries you set with yourself. Good. Good, good, good. Alright, now we're going to see where the body wants us to enter. So I'm going to check with a pendulum. And then we will go from there. So we'll start at the ankles. I'm hearing to check the half steps. So right now I'm over the root, but I'm going to check the little chakra center in between the root and the sacral, and I will do that for all of the energy centers. So this is a half step. Now we're going to the sacral. Half step between the sacral and the solar. Solar plexus. Go ahead and do a discharge breath, please. Heart. Throat. Oh, I skipped a half step. That's right. Half step between the heart and the throat. Throat. pressed up between the throat and the third eye. So this is where we're starting. We're going to start on the right side. So basically this is like the right side of the nose. And the way that our energy field is it's like the rings of a tree. So the further out in the field that I am, the younger the person is, and the closer I get to the body, the more in the present time age I arrive to. There's also rivers that run on either side of the body called ancestral rivers that sometimes we hang out in for a bit and sometimes we don't. So we'll just kind of see where we're going. And then I'm just going to do a really brief scan of something before I go into here, so bear with me. Okay, that's what I thought, but I wasn't positive. Okay, so in metaphysics, the nose has to do with like our scent. And our nose, yes, but it also has to do with like smelling things out. Like, does something smell like fishy or foul or like wrong, or does it smell pleasant and enjoyable? And so as we're working with like our boundaries with ourselves and we're working on the right side of the body has to do with our inner masculine energies, our masculine energies. This could be our own inner masculine, or this could be masculines in our life, like our father, brother, cousins, grandfather. And it doesn't matter if you know these masculines or not, the energy is still imprinted in your energy field, and I'm speaking like to those of y'all that might be adopted or part of the foster care system. You might still have inherited like through epigenetics some of your father or grandfather's like stressors. The nose also, it could be like kind of like the drug dogs, like sniffing out something that isn't legal, or like sniffing out something that isn't legal to your cores, your values, your beliefs, right? Also has to do with our intuition and memories. So they say that the nose is associated with like our memory recall, like our sense of smell. And so aromatherapy is really powerful because you can work with it in like massages, and people that repeatedly smell a certain smell, like let's say lavender, they automatically associate lavender with relaxation, right? But then we can also have that sense of smell of like aversion in a sense. Like, for example, some people might have an allergy that they didn't have before, but then maybe they were in a situation, we're talking about boundaries, so maybe we were in a situation where their boundaries weren't honored and they dishonored their own boundaries, and whatever the story may be, and then the mind trying to make sense of it and label things might have like smelled the scent of, I don't know, let's say juniper, and so now this person has a juniper allergy, right? So anytime they smell juniper, they're allergic, they have this uncomfortable sensation in their body, and it's not even necessarily juniper, it's the memory. And so then we'll be out in the field untangling these energetic knots associated with like that memory of juniper, and bringing that energy back so then the person can have more harmony and coherence as they walk through life and experience Mother Earth in her full range of beauty and glory, as well as they experience life in their full range of emotions as a soul incarnate in a human body. So with that said, and that in your awareness, we will now go into the outermost part of the field. And we're working with the 174 hertz frequency. right now I'm feeling like super gassy, which is interesting because people always talk about like how when someone farts it smells bad, right? So this is at a like really young age in life, so maybe something with like diapers and smell, or maybe just something you smelled as a child, or being told that your natural bodily functions are gross, um, and that creating like a little bit of dysfunction in the energy field because well, when we're children, we're not so conditioned, right? So it's probably confusing to a child and makes them feel unlovable, and then maybe if they smell bad or maybe having the need of having to have their diaper changed is inconvenient to the parent, then it teaches them that um, like their needs are important, which then can make it really hard to honor your needs here and now. And it gives me like a visual of like the people who don't want to poop in public because they're scared someone's gonna like smell their poop, or like people that like are just very kind of OCD about like I don't ever fart. Or I knew one girl who she went on a vacation with this guy that she was dating, and they were together for 7 days, and she only pooped once in 7 days because she had like this phobia about this natural bodily function. And so it's like that she's not honoring herself because she's not allowing her body to do its natural thing to flourish optimally, right? For fear of this person, like a subconscious fear of this person leaving her. Like she just wrote it off as a phobia, but it was probably something subconscious related to her inner child and basic needs. Which, as we talk about this, now the fork is moving more, so this is clicking something into place for someone. Now I'm hearing something about motion sickness and car sickness. This is around like early life, so this could be anywhere, depends how old you are listening to this. This could be like ages like 5 to 7, or like 3 to 5. It's the earlier years of life. Car sickness, motion sickness makes me think of nausea. Again, like if someone does have motion sickness, they do puke, and puke smells. And then there's probably like that guilt of having the parent clean it up if the parent doesn't handle it in the best way, because the parent maybe doesn't have boundaries with themselves and how they display their emotions in front of like a young child. There's like a fear of like depedestaling a parent that I'm feeling. There's a feeling of feeling like something's wrong with me. It's not them, it must be me. Which then has caused low self-esteem, which makes one not confident in asserting boundaries with themselves or with others. Go ahead and do a discharge breath. I hear there's like a fear of being given away. Children are very, very simple. So when they're little and their parents kind of like are emotionally unavailable or detached from them, the little child mind just associates it with really basic things like they eat, they sleep, they use the bathroom, they play, they laugh, they cry. And so then it causes them to shut down because they're trying to figure out what they're doing wrong when it's really nothing to do with them. It has to do with like the parents' own unresolved stuff. Which I mean later in life this could manifest as like IBS or Crohn's disease or some type of indigestion, or if they don't heal like a mother wound or a father wound, it could be like cancer, or the body manifests in different ways because we all choose our bodies for different reasons when we're making our soul contracts, right? And our souls choose our bodies to give us the lessons the soul most wants to learn. So it just kind of depends. It's kind of like a sense of sadness rolling in again. Which that's a psychic gift that doesn't get talked about a lot. Is there is a psychic ability, I don't know exactly what it's called. It has to do with your ability to smell psychic smells. And so sometimes like we smell things out energetically that don't go with what we're physically smelling. What I'm hearing. Like for me, I love to smell my cats when I cuddle them because they just smell like pure, like unconditional love. And I just can't get enough of burrowing my nose into them, cuddling them. Whereas certain people, when I hug them, I don't want to smell them because I know kind of like what their energy smells like to me. Versus other people, I love the smell of their energy. And it's not necessarily the perfume, it's more I'm sniffing out the energetics. And I know that is one of my like psychic gifts. So I'm speaking this for anybody who might be kind of curious about that in their own life. Maybe smelling things out within yourself so you can kind of course correct and have more love and compassion for yourself as you learn to set boundaries with yourself. Creating space for the intuition to have a bit more coherence. Go ahead and do a discharge breath. And if you need to move or stretch, go ahead and do so. I'm over here gently rocking my knees and my hips to keep energies moving. I just burped, so there's gases releasing, which is good. Better out than in, physically and non-physically. To me, anytime we like release like snot or gases or tears, it's the physical body expressing something from the mental, emotional, energetic, and spiritual bodies that has trickled down and is ready to be released or processed. And sometimes it's something like you just recently went through a big life experience and you're stomaching it and digesting it and you're very bloated and gassy, and then it passes. And sometimes it's different. It's more like it's something that's from like 10 years ago that's coming up. Don't always have to know, but you need to have love and compassion for yourself and appreciation for your body as you go through these processes. Go ahead and do a discharge breath. That's interesting, yeah. So I just got a visual of someone like smelling and tasting something to see if it's poisonous or not before they fully ingest into their body. So it's like trusting ourselves and our nutritional choices is really important. Doesn't matter if like one person tells you like, oh, this diet worked great for me. It's more important like what feels right to you, what's most aligned with your intuition, your spidey sense, and then following that inner voice, that inner guidance, and then building that self-confidence, which the more you do that, the stronger, the more in tune you will feel with your soul as you implement boundaries that are aligned with your values. Now we are in the ancestral river. Immediately I just get a very hollow feeling. Kind of makes me think of like when someone's like preaching something and their words are like hollow because their actions don't follow what they say. Which, since this is about boundaries with yourself, it's like smelling that out in your life. Like, do you really want to have like certain friendships in your life if like they say one thing and their actions are another thing? Or do you really want to engage with maybe toxic family dynamics if like that doesn't really go with like your value of family? Because some families are like, oh, blood over everything. But as many of the black sheep know, soul family is not of the blood necessarily and trumps blood over everything logic. So just really tuning into what's true for you and sniffing that out within yourself. With the ancestors, it seems like some of you all have had ancestors that maybe had good intentions and then just kind of got off course, which happens. That's life. Constantly course correcting. The only constant in life is change. There's a sense of like ancestral overachieving at the expense of others, at the expense of themselves, at the expense of their families. So be the masculine side of the body. And maybe you're a workaholic. Which, by the way, the feminine and the masculine, like, we all have yin and yang within us. We all have the feminine and masculine polarity. So you could be a woman that is working like a CEO job, hustle, hustle, hustle. So your inner masculine is very hyperactive, right? Or you can be a guy and your masculine is super hyperactive. Feels like there's some ancestors that have guilt about some of the jobs they worked. A lot of guilt. Ooh. Seeing what looks like a scene from like the Holocaust. Maybe some ancestors participated in the Holocaust and were some of the ones that were oppressors and committed acts that contributed to the genocide that was the Holocaust of the Jews and Gypsies and everybody that didn't go with Hitler's definition of like the perfect race. Make sure you're breathing. This is some very heavy energy. Lots of guilt. Some of these ancestors probably knew on a core level what they were doing didn't go with like their soul. Kind of feels like some of them are checked out, dissociated, going through the motions, not really wanting to sit with the feelings that came with their actions. Maybe hanging their head in shame at the dinner table is the visual I just got. And this doesn't have to necessarily be the Holocaust. This could be like any genocide that has happened. I know that this video will be reaching people throughout the world. We also have the Armenian genocide, the Rwandan genocide. We have genocides that aren't even recorded in textbooks. Some of y'all might not even know who your ancestors are. You might have been adopted, or you might have a family that just withholds family stuff. And that's okay. It's not their fault the ancestors did what they did. And what's cool is the ancestors led you to this video so we could bring coherence to this field and untangle some of this heavy energy. Bringing light to the family tree, bringing back your lost photons, bringing back more coherent photons of theirs to serve you as a descendant in the family tree. So you can shine more brightly going forward on an ancestral level. Go ahead and take a deep breath in through your nose and then discharge out through your feet. Good. Now we're coming out of the ancestral river, so we're closer to the body. So this is going to be stuff that's more like present in real time. This feels like a fear of not being good enough and kind of like being hyper vigilant. Trying to like smell things out, but the things aren't even there because it's really a mental construct creating chaos in the field. Sense of like catastrophizing when really like your needs are taken care of and the universe has worked things out for a while, but just like feels like mental energy like running really, really strong right now. For some of y'all, it might be a good idea to journal and write down all the needs that are being met in your life by the universe right now, all the needs that you are meeting on your own, all the needs that your partner is meeting for you, all the needs your friends are helping meet, as well as where you're showing up and helping meet needs of others. Not from a place of people pleasing, but genuinely just helping meet needs where you can. This exercise will really help the mind like calm down as it realizes, oh, I'm doing alright, I'm doing a good job, I'm being cared for. Go ahead and discharge out through your feet. Feel like a lot of pressure in the back of the head as the brain just kind of takes a deep breath is what it feels like. This feels like panic. Oh my god, how are we gonna pay this? Oh my god, how am I gonna pay this? Oh my gosh, like this is just like, oh my gosh, catastrophizing energy. Just letting that go. It's kind of hard to set boundaries with ourselves if we're like consumed by fearful thoughts, right? Discharge. Some of y'all might feel like feral cats begging for scraps. Some of y'all might feel like the dog in the doghouse. And this kind of gets in the way of having that healthy perception that is needed to have boundaries with self. Perhaps there's a boundary needing to not worst case scenario and just being aware of when you do it. So taking aligned action like, oh, hey, worst case scenario right now. Let me take a mental note of that by putting it in a text message to myself so I remember. So I can catch myself. Or maybe some of y'all find that you're feeling unlovable or undesirable, and so you're being more like avoidant or more anxious than you normally would be in your friendships, in your family relationships, in your partnerships. And then putting pen to paper and journaling and processing that so that way you can see more clearly and see where people are reflecting back the parts of you that are practicing healthy boundary setting instead of seeing them as against you. They're showing you like your potential when you do show up for yourself and have healthy boundaries with yourself and self-confidence and self-respect and self-love. Meaning some of these people might have put in a lot of self-love and self-respect for themselves over the years. So they have boundaries with you that you might not like, and you're taking it personal. But really they're mirroring back to you how important it is to put in the self-love, self-acceptance that comes through shadow work so that you can show up like them, confident in speaking for your needs to be met and confident in having boundaries, right? Now we're going to go ahead and deposit back into this energy center. Deep breath in, discharge. It's an interesting one. My fingers are very like slick right now. They feel like they want to let go of the fork. So it's like a sense of like wanting to throw in the towel is what I'm picking up. With life, with friendships, with partners, with yourself. Just wanting to give up. also gives me a vision of like a little kid throwing a fit and throwing things. Just acknowledging that and allowing the sound to bring balance back to the body. Sweeping in some more energy. Maybe some of your ancestors were known for having like fits of like rage or like childlike tantrums, and everybody kind of normalized it, and so you do it now. And this kind of gets in the way of you being able to really show up for yourself in a healthy, embodied way with boundary setting. And just realizing this is probably coming from a place of the inner child that just needs love. Don't beat yourself up if some of this is triggering you, or if some of it is activating you. Maybe after this, go do an inner child video, or Ho'oponopono some parts of yourself, or do some parts work, just to kind of help weave and integrate it all together. It's really important when we're doing this kind of work to check in with your inner child, to provide them that safety as you reparent yourself. If you haven't seen it already, on my guided meditations playlist, there is a shadow work, parts work video that might be useful to use after this. There's also a 30-minute video, I think, for inner child and inner parent. If that's too long, there's also some really good 5-minute inner child meditations throughout YouTube. Just make sure as you're possibly triggered that you realize there's nothing wrong with you. You're so awesome. You're so loved. You're so magnificent. The trigger is just helping you identify an opportunity to let something go. We don't have to be loyal to all our painful stories. It's okay to let them go. As we let these stories go, there's no one around us but our soul and our higher power really witnessing what's going on. You're not going to get punished for letting something go. You won't get punished for letting go of old pain. You're not going to get punished for depedestaling the ancestors. That's not how the universe works. Love is the key. And a loving universe means it's going to celebrate you and hold you up even in these moments of emotional discomfort. Go ahead and do a discharge breath, please. Good. Now we're going to make sure there's nowhere else that we need to go. Pretty sure that will be it though. That was some really deep work. Sometimes when we do the deep work, the body doesn't want to take on too much, which is totally fine because it needs to recalibrate. So let's check, and then we'll do some grounding before we close. Thanking the fire dragons for coming and assisting, and the earth dragons. And again, I'm just going to check the half steps because I was nudged to do so. Go ahead and discharge. This is good. A lot of these have picked up more into a healthier pace and rhythm. Beautiful. great at smoothing things in. Good. Excuse me. Alright. So we're going to ground. I'm going to use Reiki to ground, and then we're also going to use visualization, which helps you work with your free will. So envision tree roots coming out of your feet. As these tree roots come out of your feet, they drop down, down, down to Mother Earth's core, mixing and merging with the other tree roots, Mother Earth. And as you ground, little sand particles start raining out of the tree roots. And these sand particles symbolize all the heavy energetic density, emotional density that your body is shedding as it's processing, thought forms that are dissolving. Just running out, kind of like an hourglass, out through the feet back to Mother Earth to be recycled into the highest love and highest light to serve Mother Earth's highest good. And then Mother Earth brings in her energies to you to bring you support and protection and safety and that healthy parenting energy that comes with reparenting ourselves so that we can have strong, healthy, loving boundaries with ourselves. And she brings in that energy into your feet, through your knees, your hips, your rib cage, your heart, your chest, your stomach. She brings in this energy. There's soil and sand and clay, flowers, daisies, petunias, seashells, crystal powders of clear quartz and amethyst and rose quartz and citrine. There's branches of cedar woods and willows, pines, leaves of lemon balm and rosemary and mint. These are running through your body, bringing you their metaphysical properties, helping you ground. Mother Earth continues filling your body with these healing energies. They run into your shoulders, your arms, your hands, your fingers. Sand particles fall out of your hands and fingers as you let more things go. And those sand particles drop down into those tree roots, combining that sand with the other sand of the feet, releasing from your body and being transmuted. Mother Earth's energy goes up through your tailbone, the ligaments around your tailbone, the sacrum, the back of the pelvis, the glute muscles. Goes up to the perineum, genitalia, really just cleaning out the root chakra, all these areas that hold some really sticky energy. She goes up through the lower back, the middle back, upper back, back of the shoulders, the rotator cuff. And she goes through the back of the neck, into the atlas bone, which supports the head and connects the neck. She goes into each root of the teeth, bringing grounding and nourishment to the root systems of your teeth, the root systems of your family tree, root systems of the soul, through each tooth. She goes into the tongue, the sinuses, the eyes. And she works her way into the eyes. Sand particles start to fall out of the eyes, just releasing heavy energy from the eyes. She goes into the ears, and like a really heavy sludgy liquid falls out of the ears. It goes down to those roots to Mother Earth. She brings in more grounded and balanced sense of hearing, being able to hear from the high heart and from the ears of the soul. Being able to see from the high heart and the eyes of the soul. She goes into the brain, weaving her way into all the different little pathways of the brain, helping helping the brain shed and relax and let go, helping the brain start to trust itself and let go of old conditioning and modeling, making way for new programs to set in, new software, new upgrades, making way for self-trust to develop, making way for healthy boundaries with self to begin to take shape, making way for self-love, self-acceptance, and self-respect to become part of the healthier neural pathways. And as the brain lets go, in communion and conversation with Mother Earth, little sand particles fall from the brain down to that root system as sand, given to the earth dragons to be alchemized for Mother Earth. And Mother Earth makes her way out through the top of the crown, and she goes up, up, up to Father Sky, where she lovingly embraces Father Sky. Do a deep breath in through your nose, out through your feet. Good. Move if you need to, shake things off if you need to. And as she lovingly embraces Father Sky, Father Sky drops down into the crown, bringing in healing, cleansing, diamond white light, so bright and so pure that only that which is aligned with the beauty, integrity, wisdom, and love of your soul may be anywhere around this divine diamond white light. Father Sky goes through cleansing and strengthening and revitalizing, going into the brain, bringing in energy for the brain to begin loving itself more deeply, implementing energy, implementing self-respect. Father Sky brings in energy that supports the brain and rewiring itself. Father Sky goes into the eyes, the ears, helping them adjust and adapt to what Mother Earth moved out of them. Father Sky goes through each of the roots of the teeth and the enamel of the teeth, bringing strength and light and renewal and revitalization to each tooth and its connection to the family tree, connection to the voice and language of the soul. Father Sky goes into the neck, the shoulders, the arms, upper back, the chest, the heart. Father Sky's energy goes into the hands, fingers, more sand releases. Father Sky's energy goes to the upper back, middle back, lower back, cleansing and strengthening and revitalizing, purifying and uplifting the spine, and what each vertebrae is correlated and connected to. Father Sky continues through the lungs, the heart, the stomach, helping digest changes in the stomach, whatever life has going on for you, so that you can continue to show up for yourself in loving and gentle ways as you create safety within your field and start establishing healthy boundaries with yourself, or further maintain healthy boundaries with yourself. Father Sky's energy goes to the hips, tailbone, the glutes, the perineum, the genitalia, bringing light to all these spaces that normally are enshrouded in dark, helping let go of heavy energies and programs in these spaces. Father Sky continues through the legs, thighs, the knees, calves, ankles, feet. And Father Sky drops out through the feet and goes down, down, down to Mother Earth's core, where he lovingly embraces Mother Earth. And as Father Sky does so, more sand continues to release. And you set the intention that you stay swaddled in the loving embrace of Mother Earth and Father Sky and their protective and nourishing and strengthening energies for the next 24 hours so that you may effortlessly and easily and peacefully integrate the energies that you have received back today. You breathe into that intention, energizing it with your breath 3 times, trusting and believing that you are now held in this loving embrace for the next 24 hours, grounded and protected, cleansed and uplifted. And as you complete that final breath, you open your eyes and begin to stretch and just allow your body to do its thing. Thank you so much for joining today, and I look forward to seeing you at our next expansion session, which will be on boundaries with others. And if this is a first time watching, I highly suggest revisiting the previous sessions to see if any of those can also help you in your shadow work, integrative expansion journey with your soul. There is creating nervous system safety with the first video, and then space holding for yourself, space holding for others. All of these sessions are intended to build upon and expand upon one another, which just helps the energy system in a very comprehensive and widespread way. Thanks again for tuning in, and I will see you next time. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to Gypsy Sky Synergy so you can stay up to date when series release, like these ones. Right now we're in the winter series, but we also have the spring cleaning series that will be following the winter series. So subscribe so you can stay up to date and continue receiving wonderful little tools to help you in this ride called life. From my heart to yours. Aho, thank you.